everyone, it's Frank Song here again from Modern Career Advice. And in the last video, what we learned was the importance of deeply understanding your buyer's workflow in order to develop a superior solution, okay? So in this video, we're going to take all the stuff that we've learned from phase 1 about the logic behind identifying your target market, and from phase 2 about deeply understanding your buyer's workflow and developing a superior solution, and applying that to this phase where we're going to talk about how to develop a resume that will convert into a ton of interviews, all right? Actually, before we start, I'm going to make a quick public service announcement, all right, which is this. Notice that we're about halfway through the 6 phases of the proper techniques, and we're going to now start talking about resumes, all right? And the reason is because I meet a lot of people who say that they know how to find jobs and all this stuff, right? And so when they say that, I always ask them about how they go about finding a job. And they always start talking about resumes first, right? But now you understand the logic behind why phase 1 and phase 2 has to be done first before ever touching a resume, all right? And why it's humanly impossible to create a high converting resume without ever having done phase 1 or phase 2, all right? So if anyone ever starts talking to you about resumes without first talking about phase 1 or phase 2, run fast, all right? Now, with that being said, the best way to understand how we think about resumes is by telling you what we're not going to talk about, okay? We're not going to talk about sexy adjectives, and we're not going to talk about putting numbers and percentages in your resumes, and we're not going to talk about putting awesome accomplishments and action-oriented verbs in there, okay? The reason is that we're going to talk about the whole point of a resume, right? What's the purpose of a resume? The purpose of a resume is to convert into an interview. That's it. End of story. Full stop. All right. Anything that increases that conversion rate, I like. Anything that decreases it, I don't like. So in order to understand all of this, we have to expand upon our understanding of enterprise sales. All right. So I'm going to show you a very important image. All right. Now, some of you may already know what this is, okay? But for those of you who don't, this is called a sales funnel, all right? Let's walk through the basics, which is super simple, just so that everyone watching is on the same page, all right? The basic mechanics of a sales funnel works like this. At the very top of the funnel, you have things called opportunities, all right? In this case, these are actionable hiring companies that are in your target market, all right? Said differently, these are companies that you know for a fact are hiring for the role that you want to do, all right? Then, as you go lower down, you have something called a conversion rate, all right? A conversion rate is the percentage of those opportunities that actually convert in the way that you want. And in this case, you want interviews, right? Then at the very bottom are your results. And again, in this case, those results will be number of interviews, right? Now, none of that is earth-shattering, okay? That's not the important part. The important part is the implication behind it, all right? The best way to describe the implication is by giving you a situation, all right? What if I asked you to get me 10 interviews? How would you do it, all right? So this is what the average person's sales funnel looks like, all right? They generally apply to 50 companies. They have an average conversion rate of 2%, and once they apply to 50 companies, they'll get about 1 interview, all right? Well, based on your understanding of the mechanics of the sales funnel that we just walked through, one way you can get to 10 interviews is just to apply to 10 times more companies, right? In this case, instead of applying to 50 companies, you apply to 500 companies, all right? You keep your same resume that converts at 2%, and mathematically, you can get to 10 interviews, right? Okay. Now, let's get into the second way that you can possibly get there, right? Again, going back to the average person's sales funnel, you could apply to the same 50 companies, but instead, this time, increase your conversion rate by 10 times and change it from 2% to 20%, and mathematically, get to 10 interviews as well, okay? Now, here's the thing. The first way that we described is called stuffing the funnel or hustling sales, right? This is all about controlling your effort, like making more calls, knocking on more doors. Basically, the theoretical concept behind it is that if you burn through more people per hour and more leads per hour, you will earn more money per hour because you'll make more sales, right? And that is actually a very effective strategy. However, only in sales cycles with a large target market, or else how could you burn through so many leads unless there is a large target market, right? Basically, a simple sales cycle, all right? Now, here's the problem. The problem is that everyone who is looking for jobs are using the stuff the funnel method. They're using the first way, all right? And this is actually how people end up in jobs that they actually don't want. They find 50 job postings for what they really, really want to do. And since their resume doesn't convert well, they mess that up. And they go, wow, this is kind of hard. So then they lower their standards and their expectations and they apply to another 50 jobs. They don't get that as well. Then they lower their standards and their expectations again, apply to another 50 jobs, then another and another. And then they start applying to jobs that they're not even interested in, but are applying for the sake of just having a job. And that's how people end up in jobs that they actually don't want, is because they were so focused on the stuffing the funnel method, all right? Now, the second way, which is based on increasing the conversion rate, is the only way you have available if you actually want to land the jobs that you want, okay? Now, I'm not going to make it sound easy or anything like that, okay? Basically, in order to do this, you need to be able to convince more people, all right? That's a lot harder than just putting in more effort. That's why I understand from a human aspect why people focus on stuffing the funnel strategy, all right? It's much easier to control your effort and to just try harder, okay? It's much easier to just go on LinkedIn and look for jobs and start clicking apply, then going to monster.com and going click, 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 then going to indeed.com and going click, 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 then pulling up some other websites and go click, 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 click. It's easier to just keep clicking apply than it is to get better at converting, all right? However, the problem is that you don't have a choice in the matter, all right? You have to use the second method and increase your conversion rate because of the fact that you have a small target market, all right? So if you really want to get the job that you want, the only viable path there is to increase your conversion rate, okay? So now, what I'm going to teach you are the fundamentals to how we increase the average person's conversion rate of 2% to our average conversion rate of 23%. And the best way to understand how that works is like this. Let's just say I'm a 50-year-old divorced guy with a $1 million net worth, okay? And now let's just say all of you have been working on a brand new luxury sports car, okay? You've been working your butts off for the last 4 years, day and night, blood, sweat, and tears on this car. You know every little thing about it, all right? You know all the pros, you know all the cons, you know all the strengths, you know the weakness. You worked on it. You developed it. It's your baby, okay? So now, let's just say there's 3 different groups of people who are working on it, okay? Let's just say there was an engineer, a designer, and a project manager, okay? So if you were the engineer and I asked you, why should I buy this car? You'd probably say something like, well, Frank, the reason why you should buy this car is because it's actually a huge engineering feat. We've copied a lot of the best practices from all the supercar engines out there, and we've been able to get this to go 0 to 60 in about 2.5 seconds. Oh, wow. Okay, I like going fast. All right, so now let's just say I talk to the design team and I ask them the same question. Hey, design team, why should I buy this car? The design team would probably say something like, well, Frank, we actually hired the lead designer from Apple to help design this car. And that's the reason why this is one of the most elegant, unique, and sophisticated cars out there. All right, cool. I like elegant. I like sophisticated. I like Apple. I got an iPhone, right? Now, if I ask the project manager why I should buy this car, the project manager will probably say something like, so Frank, given the price point that you're paying, you would actually have to pay twice that amount in order to get the same horsepower, features, and luxuries that's available in the market. So we spent a lot of time making sure that this was very affordable. Oh, affordable. Okay, I can see that. All right. Now, am I going to buy that car? I'm not going to buy that car. Why? The problem is this, okay? Notice that you spent the last 4 years of your life working on this car. So you know everything about it. You know all the best parts, you know all the worst parts, you know the strengths, you know the weaknesses, you know everything. So what ended up happening is that you were so focused on telling me what you thought was the best part of the car, okay? That's what you were so focused on. Now, let's say that a salesperson came up to me, and let's just say this was a pretty good salesperson, and he knows I'm a 50-year-old guy, divorced, $1 million net worth, right? So he would probably say something like, hey, Frank, look, I'm not going to talk to you about the cutting-edge engine. You're never going to open the hood anyways. And who cares if we have the guy from Apple designing it? You already got enough good-looking Apple stuff the way it is. And look, I'm not going to insult you by telling you that it's affordable because clearly you have enough money. But here's the thing. I have a friend. He's kind of around your age, and he just bought this exact same car not too long ago. And last time I met up with him, I saw him hang out with two of the finest chicks on earth. And of course, I would go, hold on, where do I buy this car? Where do I sign, right? Why did I tell you this story? What does this have to do with resumes? The reason why I told you this story is because I see this exact same problem and error when people write their resumes, okay? You know everything about you. You know all your strengths and all your weaknesses. So when people sit down to write their resumes, you are so focused on telling people what you think they should care about and what you think is the best parts of you. This is how people literally write resumes. They sit down in front of their laptop and go, okay, so what were things I did from Monday to Friday? What were my responsibilities? Okay, here, I'll type that in. Okay, so now how do I make that sound as impressive and as accomplished as possible? Because that doesn't sound really cool. Oh, I know. I'll add a percentage here. Ooh, I know. I'll add a number there. Oh, I'll write about all the results and talk about the results I made and how I helped this important C-level executive or that VP to do this or that, right? And maybe I'll even make an accomplishment section. Oh, yeah, and then this award and that award, and ooh, I was like one of the finalists in that too. Basically, if you pay attention to the underlying logic people use subconsciously when they write their resumes, is that they're trying to use awesomeness to convert, okay? People think, okay, that writing resumes that convert is all about making them sound as good and as accomplished as possible, okay? And many of you probably have that stuff on your resume right now and know firsthand that it doesn't convert well, all right? I know it sounds counterintuitive. Trying to make yourself sound more accomplished as possible does not correlate to increased conversion rates, all right? Trust me, I tried those resumes before. They did not work, all right? Now, what does control resume conversion rates is this, okay? And this is the lever that I consistently use to be able to get higher converting resumes, all right? What controls a resume conversion rate is this. It is how well you position yourself to the buyer's workflow that you analyzed in phase 2, okay? Said differently, the closer you position yourself to the buyer's workflow, the higher your conversion rate will be. The farther apart you are from the buyer's workflow, the lower your conversion rate will be, okay? So going back to the car example again, now you're starting to understand why it didn't work, all right? My problem wasn't that I needed a state-of-the-art engine. It wasn't that I need something made by an Apple designer. It wasn't that I needed something at an affordable price, right? Now, those are all great selling points, just like your accomplishments, your sexy action verbs, your percentages, your numbers, your achievements, and your results. But those things contribute very little to increasing your conversion rate, all right? You have to deeply understand the buyer's workflow and position yourself closely to it, all right? Now, here's the funny part about conversions that I've seen with my clients, all right? The most mundane thing that you might have done that you're least proud of but hits on the buyer's workflow actually increases your resume's conversion rate by 10 times. Whereas the most amazing thing that you think you did barely has any effect. All right, so how does this solve your enterprise sales problem? Okay, and it's very simple, which is if you have only one interview, what's the maximum number of offers you can get? 1, right? Now, if you had 5 interviews, what's the maximum number of offers you can get? 5. If you had 10 interviews, the maximum number of offers you can get is 10, right? Now, by phase 6, you'll understand why it's so important for you to have multiple high-quality offers if you want to land the jobs that you actually want, okay? Which means in order to land those offers, you have to first be able to fix this part of the funnel and land the interviews in the first place, all right? All right, guys, so that's it for now. In the next video, things are going to start picking up a lot faster, all right? And what we're going to cover is exactly how to beat out candidates that are stronger than you by winning the offer before you even get to the interview, all right? So that's it for right now. I'll see you guys in the next video.